We just walked about 2 or 3 miles through some really narrow paths full of ferns and stinging nettles. It was pretty tough going. This bit here looks like an actual jungle. This might be the best beach we've seen so far. The water is so green over there. That is St Michael's Mount behind me there, and it's one of the things I've been most excited about seeing on this trip. Suddenly started pouring with rain. We've just set off from our campsite and the sun has come out, so I immediately took off my waterproof layer because it suddenly got really hot. Now we are just heading back to the coast to connect with the southwest coast path again, and then we are starting on our way to Penzance. The path is pretty muddy today, thanks to last night's rain. I'm pretty sure that is Penzance in the distance, where we are heading to today. This path is a bit of a tight squeeze. This bit of the path is very narrow and overgrown. Doesn't look like many people have walked through it recently. Could definitely do with a bit of maintenance. And I wouldn't have worn shorts if I'd have known I'd been dodging so many stinging nettles. That's not true. I only wear shorts. That beach down there is Prasannes, which is one that was recommended to us. We've gone past Prasannes and now we're continuing around this headland to the next cove. It did look like a really nice beach, but we've only been going about 2.5 miles, so it felt a bit early to stop. There is behind me there. It also felt like it might start to rain soon, so we wanted to get on our way. I think the clouds are passing to the east and we're heading west, so hopefully we avoid them. We just walked about 2 or 3 miles through some really narrow paths that were full of ferns and stinging nettles, and it was pouring with rain as well, so we just got drenched. But the rain has stopped and the sun's come out, so we're just pausing here quickly to dry off a little bit before we continue around Prussia Cove, which is here. This might be the best beach we've seen so far. The water is so green over there. Okay, we've finished our lunch and we're back on the coastal path again. We're now heading towards Marazion, which I think is a couple of miles away. We've just come around the corner and we can see rain clouds over in the distance. It's not raining here yet, but the wind's blowing it towards us, so we're going to get our raincoats on and prepare. So I'm going to put this camera away and put my raincoat on, because that's probably going to hit us soon. I didn't realise how quickly the weather changes here. 1 minute it's pouring with rain, the next the sun comes out and it's boiling hot again. We've just been scrambling for the last few hundred meters along this rocky beach, and even though it was quite hard work, just paying attention to where you're stepping so you don't fall over or step in any holes, it still was quite a nice break from all the ups and downs of the coastal path. That is St Michael's Mount behind me there, and it's one of the things I've been most excited about seeing on this trip. For those who don't know what it is, it's a castle out on an island, and when the tide is out you can actually walk across it, and you can see there's quite a few people walking across a sandbank to get to it, and it looks so much like it belongs in the world of Game of Thrones that recently they were actually filming part of the Game of Thrones spin-off over there. We have just arrived at our campsite in Penzance, so now we're going to go and check in and get set up. Good morning. Today is day 4 on the southwest coast path. Yesterday was actually quite a tiring day. Walking through those narrow overgrown paths was really hard work. There was a lot of very steep inclines and declines as well, so I'm quite tired after that. Today is going to be quite a similar day in terms of distance, I think about 12 or 13 miles, but it should look quite different in terms of terrain. Yesterday was all about forcing our way through overgrown ferns and stinging nettles, but I don't think there's going to be quite as much of that today. So I'm going to start making breakfast now, and while the water's boiling, I thought I would talk through one new piece of gear that I got for this trip that I've been really impressed with. This is a gear organizer by an American company called VanQuest, and inside this pouch I keep all my small bits of gear together so that they don't get lost throughout my bag. So on this side I've got my 2 titanium sporks, my lighter, my penknife, and then I've got a pen and my notebook as well. And then on the other side I've got batteries for my camera and for my microphone, my ferro rod, and a charger for my GoPro. So I found this really helpful on the trip so far, so that I can easily access stuff when I need it. On previous trips I would have stuff scattered throughout my bag, and it was really hard to find stuff when I wanted it. It's also got lots of room for other things that I might need on future trips. So here I can store my water filter, there's space down here for a water pouch, and then there's lots of other pockets here that I can use to store things later. And it's made of a really tough canvas material as well, so it feels like this is going to last for years. Amy pre-made some porridge before we came, which has pumpkin seeds, walnuts, raisins and a bit of brown sugar in it. So that's quite a nice way to start the day. We'd only just started today's walk when we got caught in a torrential downpour and we got completely soaked. But the sun's just come out, so we've taken off our raincoats and we're drying out a bit now. The first section of our walk today follows the road along the coast from Penzance to Mousehole, which is actually spelt mouse hole. We got caught in another downpour, but now we've made it to Mousehole, which is a really nice looking harbour town, and we just stopped here for a quick snack break before continuing on our way. Mousehole's just behind us there, and we've been dodging the rain. It's been on and off for the last few hours, and I wouldn't mind it, but when it does rain, it's absolutely torrential and you get drenched, so we've been trying to avoid it if we can. We're now approaching the section of this walk where we leave the roads and start walking along the cliffs again. We've mainly been following roads like this since Penzance. I know I said I thought the narrow, overgrown paths had ended, but they haven't. We've been making our way through this for the last half an hour, I think, and it's pretty tough going, but it's just started to open up on this side. We can see the sea again. Tough, eh? Yeah. This bit here looks like an actual jungle. It's so thick and overgrown and extremely hard work to get through. These steps are really steep, so you kind of have to leap from one to the other. We've just been following that path along the coast for a few miles now, and it just goes up and down and up and down, and it's so overgrown. There's stinging nettles everywhere. You keep getting branches to the face, and you have to keep checking for ticks as well. So it was really tough work, and it was made even harder by the temperature. We've just had the sun blaring down on us the whole time, so we've both lost a lot of water that we needed to replenish, but fortunately we've just arrived in this wooded area that's really cool, and hopefully this goes on for a while. We just came round a corner and this really cute little village just came into view. It's been a little while since we left Mousehole, so I think we're going to stop in this village for a short break before continuing on our way. We stopped for lunch in this little cafe which came at exactly the right time. Got myself a little pasty. I'm going to sit here and eat it with a view of the sea. It's been a couple of hours now since we took our break in that village, and since then we've pretty much just been going up and down, up and down, up and down on this coastal path, and there's not really been much to see as all the ferns have sort of been above head height, but we've emerged from that now and we've got this really nice view along the coast. This is a good example of what this leg of our journey's been like. So we had to come down here, and this path sort of winds down here, down to here, to where we are now, and then the path goes all the way up here, across there, and then winds up to there. And it's been this for the last few hours, But when you got views like this, who cares? That's filming you. He looks very jungly. There we go. We've just arrived at Treen Farm campsite and set up our tent. The cool thing about this campsite is they have a whole field reserved for backpackers that they don't book out to anyone else, so you can just turn up and pitch your tent. It's about 8 o'clock now, so we're going to start making our dinner, and I also managed to get 2 local beers which I'm really excited to try. I've got this Porthleven Untamable Pale Ale and this Cornish IPA. It's a really good one. Right, just to recap the last couple of days, this was our campsite yesterday, just past Porthleven. So we took this road down to the coast and then started following the coast path here. We went past Prasannes and around Prussia Cove, and all of this was really hard work. It was going up and down quite steep inclines and declines, past Penzance, and then that's where we reached the point where we dropped down to this stony beach. We followed that stony beach all the way along here until we reached St Michael's Mount, and from there it was all sandy beach until we reached Penzance, which was a massive relief after this harder work back here. And then today we woke up in Penzance and followed this coastal path, mostly along roads, until we reached Mousehole. Then from Mousehole, this is where it got really tough. This section here was just up and down through these really overgrown paths, and then from here it was just up and down again, all the way along the coast until we reached Penberth Cove, and then from there we took this footpath into Treen, and that is where we are now. This is why you do the southwest coast path, to stumble across beaches like this. Apparently this section we're about to do is one of the toughest along this bit of coastline. We have just made it to Land's End. After we left Land's End, a storm hit the whole of Cornwall. We had 50-mile-an-hour winds that were just battering the tent, and we just weren't sure if this tiny little tent was going to hold up